Hi all. So this one's going to be about going to MEPS and what to expect, maybe some tips and things like that. So I've been to a bunch of different MEPS stations. I've been to Baltimore, Maryland, Asheville, North Carolina, San Diego, California, and most recently Atlanta, Georgia, which is where I went last week if you watched my last video. So all the MEPS stations are pretty similar. There's some minor differences from station to station. They all suck. First time sucks the worst, and the rest of the times suck a little bit less. But they all suck. So how it works is, well, first of all, you'll get your recruiter will have a date set up for you. They'll have you on the list for MEPS, and this is after you've already done all your paperwork. You'll do your SF-86, which is your security clearance paperwork, the past 10-year thing that you've probably done already if you're watching this, all your family history, your criminal history, all that stuff. And then you will go to MEPS. So MEPS opens at least Atlanta, and I think in most cases it opens at 6 a.m. or 0600. And so you'll want to be there a little bit before then. For if you live far away, they might bring you up the night before and you'll stay at a hotel, or you might go that morning. Because I have a kid, it was easier for me, even though I live far away, I live 2 hours away, I still went that morning. So we left at 03 and got there between, it was around 5:30, I think, so we made a stop. But yeah, so you wait around till 06 for them to open. Civilian will usually come outside and let you know about getting inside. Basically, they'll line up everyone in two lines, one for everyone doing the full medical exam and the other line for shippers. You'll hear the term shippers a lot. It just means that they are shipping to basic training that day. So they're just there to get their urinalysis, final breathalyzer, final swearing in, all that stuff before they ship out to boot camp. So they're going to take priority a lot of cases because they're just trying to get in and out. But just so you're aware, you'll probably have those alongside of you. If you're prior service, sorry, you don't get any advantages. At least here in Atlanta MEPS, I kind of remember in California, they marked my sticker with prior service and sort of just treated me a little bit better. Didn't get too much. I don't remember ever getting too much of an advantage being in prior service. They don't like skip me to the front of the line or anything like that, unfortunately. So if you're prior service, you're probably just gonna, do the same thing that everyone else is doing. At least here in Atlanta, very few times was I even ever asked if anyone was prior service. The one time I remember was in the briefing, which I'll talk about later, and really it was just to ask. Just to verify that what they're saying is truthful, and we were just supposed to say, "Oh yeah, we're prior service. Yeah, you're not lying." But that was it. We got no advantages for being prior service, so keep that in mind if you are prior service as well. So, anyways, we're back to two lines outside. Shippers, full medical. We're gonna go inside the doors. Go through a metal detector. You're gonna have to take off your belts. I think that's probably it, and anything metal, obviously. Once you go through there, you're gonna have to go to the storage room if you brought anything. If you have, if you have like a bag or a jacket or anything, you'll put that in the storage room. You can put your phone in there if you want. You're not allowed to have your phone on you throughout the MEPS process, so you have to either leave it there in storage or with your branch. Once you do that, I believe so. There's two things back to back, and I forget which one's first. I think you go to your branch first. Branch meaning that there's offices for each branch of service. There's one for the Marines, Army, Navy, Air Force, National Guard, Coast Guard, and you have to go find your office and go and check in with them there. And then after that, it's either after that or right before that. Doesn't really matter. You have to go to the control desk to check in. You'll give them your ID. You'll probably do a fingerprint scan, and they'll give you your name sticker. It'll have your name, what you're there for. So it'll say like full med. Like the last time I went, it just said access only. things like that. It'll just say what you're there for. It'll have your component, if you're active or reserve, stuff like that. You have to wear that and it'd be visible at all times while you're there. And then once you have those two things done, you've checked in with your branch, you've checked in at the control desk, then you can start your in-processing. You'll be given an in-processing packet. It'll probably have a cover sheet with like sign-offs for each station, so you know what you have left. And inside the folder, it'll have some medical records, like your vision, some stuff for them to fill out at vision, hearing, all that stuff that needs to get filled out as you go. So at Atlanta, which is, I think it's different than the other MEPS I've been to, because I think the other MEPS you go straight to the brief first thing. But with Atlanta, they let you get a couple stations in first. I think the brief probably starts at something like 07, I guess. You lose track of time. You don't have your phone on you, so you're moving around so much. But it seemed like it was probably 07 that the brief was. So while everyone's checking in, you can do some initial stations first. If you have a choice, if you're able to, try to get vision done first. I didn't have a choice. They directed me straight to hearing because there was a hearing test about to start and they had one slot open and they just put me into that one slot. So I thought I was on track to jump ahead of a lot of people because I got it into hearing right away. As soon as I got checked in, boom, I was right in a hearing test. Then I got out of the hearing test. The hearing test basically is you go into a room with, I think there was 8 people total, and you put on a headset, you have a little button clicker like Jeopardy, and whenever you hear a set of beeps in either ear, you hit the button. You hit the button once for a set of beeps. Don't hit it 3 times because it'll be sets of 3 beeps. It'll go beep, 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 like that, and you hit the button. Don't hit the button, don't go beep, beep, beep. Don't hit the button 3 times along with the beeps. So someone did that and was told to stop hitting the button so much. Yeah, that's about all there is to it. Even if it's a super faint beep, still hit the button. And it takes a while. So I don't know what the deal is with the end of the test, but I feel like after the test was done, so you have to keep your headset and everything on until the operator opens the door. And so my test was done. You get no announcement in your headsets telling you that you're done. You just stop hearing beeps. But because the beeps fade out, so it'll start off loud, beep 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 beep. It'll get quieter and quieter. So basically, the last set of beeps does that. It gets quieter and quieter until you can't hear anymore. So you're just you're waiting. Oh, and then also you'll hear different tones. So it'll be like a high pitch, like boop 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Beep 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 beep. It'll be like that. So it'll go back to a higher volume at a different tone. So you're constantly doing this high volume to low volume thing. It'll make switch ears, high volume to low volume. So anyways, the last set of beeps, it does that, high volume to low volume. You're just waiting for the next tone to start, and you're sitting there. And after about a minute of silence, you realize that you're done with the test. And so that's how it was for me. So I sat there for a minute of silence, realized, okay, I'm done with the test, so I'm not even going to worry about carefully listening anymore. But then I sat there for another 5 minutes. It felt like forever. And so I don't know if the operator is filling out everyone's paperwork during that time, or if other people are actually still testing. I can't imagine people would still be testing for that much longer. I know people finish at different rates, but shouldn't have taken that long. But anyway, so you might be sitting there for a while thinking, what the hell, what's going on? But just don't worry about it. It'll be over. They didn't forget about you. I left hearing and then was told to go to the vision line. Now, again, I mentioned this before, but if you have a choice to go to hearing or vision first, go to vision first. Try to get that done before the briefing in Atlanta. Again, other stations, you might do the briefing first, but Atlanta, try to get vision done as fast as you can because vision tries to intentionally slow you down. I don't get it. I don't know why. I would think that they would try to be pushing everyone through as fast as possible because then they can go home. So I don't know why they're intentionally slowing people down, but that's how it is for vision, at least here at Atlanta. So the operator will go and take someone in, do their exam, come out, talk to some people for a while, walk around, yell at people for not calling her ma'am, direct people where to go, eventually get back to the line and take the next person. And that's how it was for every person in line. So I mean, it was very clear she was trying to slow things down. She was also rejecting people from the line for just random reasons, which I'll get into in a minute for me. But I was the next in line finally, and then that 07 time or whatever time it was for the briefing came. Everyone said, all right, everyone stand up, come into this room, and we had to do the brief. So I lost my spot in line, unfortunately. I was right there. I was so close. And if I would have gotten in division before that brief, it would have saved me probably at least 2 hours on my day. But we had the brief. The brief just kind of is like a welcome to MEPS. They tell you what to expect during the day, how to address everyone there, be respectful to everyone, different things you need to do. You'll have to fill out some paperwork while you're there. You'll do the breathalyzer, stuff like that. So for me, I had to pee really bad. I had to pee when I first got there at 06, but I knew I had a urinalysis at some point, so I was going to hold it. So it had been like an hour, and I had to go really bad at that point. But I was thinking, like, if this brief is quick, if we can go straight to urinalysis, I can make it. So that brief took like an hour, filling out all the paperwork and all that stuff, because I have to go like line by line. They have to tell you like how to fill in the date, all that stuff. So it takes a long time, and the breathalyzer and all that stuff. So it takes a while. And at that point, I was going to burst. But urinalysis was right after the brief, and then so we left the brief, but we had to go out one by one and do our breathalyzer as we left. So I'm sitting there like I can't even stand up straight because like there's so much pain, and I finally get to the breathalyzer. It's my turn to leave the room and go to the urinalysis. And then I get to the urinalysis, and the line is super long, and I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to make it. So I just went to I went to a different bathroom and just went. I was like, look, I know I need to start drinking water. As soon as I go, I need to start drinking water so I can do this later. But there's no way I'm going to make it. I'm going to burst my bladder or something. So just keep that in mind. Like, if you wake up in the morning, if you're at the hotel or something, you wake up at 4, and you know you have a urinalysis, I wouldn't try to hold it. If you have to go really bad when you first wake up, just go and then drink water. Or even if you have to go when you first get there, I'd say probably you have enough time. You can probably go and just start drinking water like crazy, because you know you're going to need to go again. After the briefing, you do the rest of your initial stations. So what I call the initial stations are hearing and vision, which I mentioned before. You'll have to get your blood drawn, urinalysis, and I think that's it for what I'm calling the initial stations. Once we left the brief, I went to go pee, came back, and went straight to the line for vision. I knew I had to get that out of the way. Finally got to the beginning of the line again, because when I got back to the line, the shippers had gotten in line for vision, so I had to get behind all of them. Finally got through them. I was next in line. Operator finally came out to me, looked at my packet, and was like, "Have you done blood work yet?" I was like, "No." So before the brief, blood work wasn't even open. So I know, like, if I had gotten there before the brief, she wouldn't have asked. She would have just taken me. It doesn't matter. There's no, like, the initial stations, the order doesn't matter what you do them in. So there's no reason for her to have rejected me because I hadn't done blood work yet. There's no reason, except she wants to slow the line down for whatever weird reason. But I can't say anything. I have to do what they tell me to do. So she sent me over to the line for blood work, and I lost my spot in line again. And that was like an hour lost that I've been doing nothing but waiting in line for vision. So then I got my blood work done, and then I got back in line for vision again. And at this point, the line is super long, because like she's doing this to everyone, and everyone's getting held up, and this line is now super long. And I'm at the back of the line. I'm like one of the last people now, because I wasted so much time waiting in this line. So Finally got into vision after that line went through. Got into vision, got that done, got my urinalysis done. At that point, I could go again. So did that, and then all of my initial stations were done, and then the only thing left was ortho, and then the doctor. Ortho is probably what you've heard about the duck walk and all that stuff. Don't worry too much about it. They're just testing that you can move all your joints correctly and stuff like that, and the right positions you need to be able to move into and all that. So it's not scary. It's not hard. It might feel a little bit weird, but whatever. Just get through it. They're just checking your joints. You'll go through some exercises. In parallel, they're also doing doctor interviews. So you get called into an office with a doctor. They'll ask you about your medical history and also some other stuff too. They'll ask about your criminal history. Again, this should just match whatever you... Oh, I skipped this before. In the brief in the morning, they'll kind of hammer into your head that you need to be honest with everyone. Don't lie, even if your recruiter told you to. My recruiter never told me, like any of my recruiters that brought me to MEPS never told me to lie at MEPS. What they do tell me is that whatever I tell MEPS is what I should have told them already. They should match. So you shouldn't lie at MEPS, but you shouldn't have lied to your recruiter in the first place. So if you had like a sleep disorder 10 years ago that got resolved and stuff like that, tell your recruiter, get a doctor's note or whatever that you need to do, get the waiver, and then you're good. When you get to MEPS, disclose that. It should be there in your packet, and you're good to go. That's not a problem. The problem is that if you didn't tell your recruiter something, and then like you told your recruiter you have no criminal history, and then you show up to MEPS and be like, oh yeah, I did get arrested this one time for possession of drugs or whatever. It's like they need to match. So make sure you're open and honest with your recruiter. That way when you get to MEPS, it's not scary when they keep hammering into your head like you have to be honest, tell us everything and stuff like that, because you already told them everything. So anyways, yeah, doctor, same thing. They'll ask you the same questions. It should match what you told your recruiter and all that. Once you've done the doctor interview, also with the doctor, they're going to check for a hernia for the guys. They're going to touch your balls. They're going to have you bend over and look at your butt. They're not going to stick a finger in, so don't worry about that unless you're over like 40 or 45 or something. But yeah, no fingers or anything, so don't worry about that. It's not scary. You know, whatever. Just suck it up. It takes a second. Don't even think about it. Just do it, and then you're done. Once you're done with the doctor and the exercises, then you're done with medical. Then you might have to wait around a little while for your medical packet to get processed or whatever they do with it. For me, I finished that stuff around lunchtime, so everyone took a break for lunch, so I kind of got stuck. So I went to go eat, and then came back, had to wait for a while for my packet to get processed. They finally brought it up to the medical control desk, and then called my name, gave it to me, and I left. Went back to my branch. At that point, I was done for the day, because I was only doing medical for that day. But if you're doing everything in one day, like in most cases, the next thing that you'll do is contract and swear in. So this part takes a long time. There's a lot of waiting, so just try to be patient. You're going to be in the waiting room. There's a TV probably, and you're going to be watching TV for a long time because they have to go through contracts for everyone individually, one by one, and it's a slow process. Depending on what branch you are, if you're Army or something, there's a lot of people. If you're National Guard, if you're like Coast Guard or something, there's usually like only one or two people, so it might be quick, but yeah, sort of depends. But get ready to be patient about that. Once you get in to do your contract, what are they called? Guidance counselor will go through your all your security stuff again, just to make sure everything's spelled right. You know, everything's accurate. All your employment dates line up correctly. All that stuff. So they'll finalize that. Then you have to. I had to call someone on the phone. Sometimes they have a person there in the office to talk to, and this is one of the big scary moments where you're supposed to like disclose anything you hadn't disclosed before. And they'll just walk through your packet with you, make sure that everything's accurate, you didn't forget anything, all the names that you listed are spelled correctly, the contact information is correct, and stuff like that. Not that scary, so don't worry too much about that. Just verify that. And then you'll probably pick your job. Since I'm going officer, my job was already picked out. I didn't have to worry about that. But if you are picking a job there, if you are National Guard, you have to find a slot for your job. So if you're going in as like E1 through E3, let's say just as like 25 Bravo, just for an example, that was my previous MOS, and you want to have a unit that's within 50 miles of where you live. They'll look for, see if there's any slots for E1 through E3 slot for 25 Bravo within 50 miles. If there is, cool, you can take that slot and you have that, you have your unit, and you know where you're going. If there are no slots, you might have to be willing to expand your region, maybe within 100 miles of your home, and just kind of what you're willing to do. You might have to pick a different MOS if you're more willing to do that, if you want to stay closer to home. So once you have your MOS, your unit, you'll pick a date to go to basic training, unless like your prior service with less than 3 years of a break in service. I have to go to a prior service basic because I've been out for 5 years. So new rule last year for National Guard, probably Army too, is that if you've been out for longer than 3 years, you have to go to this prior service basic training thing at Fort Leonard Wood. So I had to sign up for that. So you might get your ship date there, or you will get your ship date. And that's it. You have to, if you have any incentives, you can go over that. If you have like a bonus or something, and then you have to pick the number of years that you sign for. Always sign for the minimum, even when you re-enlist, always sign for the minimum number of years that you can, and still get any incentives they give you. They might say like you have to sign for 5 years to get a bonus or something like that, and it might be worth it for you to do that. Or they might say like, I don't really, I've never been a recruiter, so I don't know how a lot of these things work behind the scenes, but they might say something like, we're offering like a $2,000 bonus per year that you sign for, so it might be worth it to do like a 6-year initial commitment or something. But if you're being offered no incentives like me, I was offered nothing, there's no reason to enlist anything more than the minimum. Even if I know I'm going to be staying for 20, still do the minimum, because you don't know what is going to be available for bonuses when you go to re-enlist. So when I get to the end of my 3 years, there might be a bonus to re-enlist at that point. And if I had signed for 6 years, I would have missed that. So always sign for the minimum number of years in order to get any incentives that they offer you. And sometimes, a lot of times you won't have a choice. If it's your initial contract, if you're first time joining, it's probably going to be based on your schooling. So probably a minimum of 4 years, or for some jobs, depending on your school, it's like a linguist, like Arabic linguist or something like that. You're going to be in school for a long time. You're going to have to do a 5-year commitment. So that's just how it is. So, okay, got the contract all sorted out. Next thing that you'll have to do is you have to sign the same contract like 6 times, but you have to do your fingerprint thing to sign that. And then you have to go get your full fingerprints done. They do all your fingers, both hands, and you'll do your final interview, which once again is the tell us everything kind of thing. Once those 2 things are done, you'll be put in the queue for swearing in. You'll be put in a room, and once there's enough people to swear in, you'll go do that. If you're waiting in that waiting room and there's only like 2 people ready to swear in, it might be a little while more watching TV until there's around 10 people or so to swear in. Then they'll bring everyone to the little staging room where you sit down and wait for a couple minutes. They'll let you know what to do. They'll line everyone up, tallest to shortest, shortest to tallest. Go into the room with the red carpet with the flags. They'll teach everyone the position of attention and parade rest. For me, they put National Guard. I was the only National Guard in the swearing in group. They put me at the front because my oath is a little different than the federal oath. I swear in to the state of Georgia and to the governor instead of the country and the president, or as well as, but so swear in, go back and that's like with the commander. The commander will come in, get called to attention, read the oath, and then go walk back out. Then the commander will go over your contract with you. You have to verify, do your fingerprint again, take a picture. Then you go back to your branch again. you verify your contract again, which I think that's probably the final signing. I'm not sure which one's the official one, but whatever. After that, you verify your contract again after you've sworn in, and then you're done. You hopefully your recruiter's there already, or on their way at least. They should have gotten notified before you swore in, so that they could make their way over there to pick you up. So don't be worried about picking up. Every time I go to MEPS, there's always one person that's like, oh no, how do I get home? Is my recruiter picking me up, or am I supposed to call them, or what? But yeah, your recruiter's going to be notified where you're at in the process. They will hopefully be there already when you're done. If not, they should at least be on their way. If not, maybe if you live close by, just when you're done, call them up and say, I'm all done. They'll come pick you up. Assuming that like your parents aren't there to take you home, or you didn't drive yourself, or whatever. But that's it. That's your day of MEPS. Nothing too scary. Once again, get vision done early if you have the option to. Be respectful to everyone. Be patient. Have a lot of patience. Be honest with your recruiter before you go to MEPS. And yeah, just be patient. Take it as it is. It's gonna be a long day. It's gonna suck, but it's one day. So you'll get through it. Till next time.